Willie D, you know where we are. What we talking about, Texas, we put more people to death for capital murder than anywhere else in the world, right here in the great state of Texas. This is what we do here.
Willie D Live.
Now let me give you some. We'll just say, I guess, for the people, legal game. Let's listen. I want you to hear this strategy for me. All right. So the reason we don't know what happened is because we haven't heard Karmelo Anthony speak. He didn't come up on the stand and testify. We shouldn't hold that against him. Defendants who are accused don't have to testify. But Karmelo Anthony was 17 when this incident happened. He's 19 now. Willie D, a fully grown, mature man, is going to be able to testify different than a young 17 or 19-year-old boy on the stand. Same thing with Dennis Spurling and any other mature adult. We're going to say it. We're not going to feel overly stressed out. It is what it is, okay? This 19-year-old boy, had he testified now, his testimony would be locked in to the public record forever. So let's say he gets an appeal. And I think he will be granted an appeal because appeals are mandatory in the state of Texas. The state of Texas Court of Criminal Appeals is an intermediate court, so it's mandatory. So he's going to be granted an appeal. They're going to look at everything, and I think there's a more than 50% chance that this particular verdict is going to be overturned because they excluded all of the black jurors. Now, we can go into that another time, but if people want to look up Batson, I think that's a good reason. So now, as I said earlier, and I want you to understand the mindset of a criminal defense attorney, we understand that this young man was going to prison. Any lawyer worth his salt is going to say, you got a confession, a dead body, and a murder with dozens of witnesses. He's going to go to prison. The question, if he had been able to go to prison with manslaughter, that would have been a win. And I know that's hard for the public to understand. People think this is going to be a Perry Mason moment. Defendant, you're free to go. That was not going to happen in this case. I don't think it would have happened in this case if it was an all black jury, a black judge, black prosecutor, black victim, and a black defendant. You're going to go to prison. The question is, are you going to go to prison for 7 years, 7 to 10 years? Or are you going to go to prison from 5 to 99 years? He got the 5 to 99 years, of which they gave him 35 years. So now let's look at the strategy here. If we know he's going to go to prison, if we know there's more likely than not he's going to get a retrial, then why not preserve the idea of have him testifying until he gets a little bit older, till he can sit in that cage? And I know it's bad. It's going to be bad. It's not going to be all good, but it's not going to be all bad. He's going to mature. He's going to grow. Hopefully he programs correctly. His mind will mature. 7 years from now, when it's time for a new trial, okay, he doesn't have that 19-year-old testimony saying, well, you said this then, you said this then. What's changed? You've had a chance to sit in that penitentiary with them hardened criminals and work out your life. That's what the prosecutor's going to say. We knew he was going to do at least 7 to 10 years. We knew that. Anybody in the criminal justice system knew, based on the evidence, not even having anything to do with the case, knew he was going to prison. But now, because he didn't testify, he preserved that testimony. Now you can say, well, if we go ahead and go forth with this again, maybe now I'll testify and explain why this was self-defense and not murder, why I was afraid for my life, why I felt the need. There was other people all around. Maybe then it'll be better. That's the best shot he had. We knew he was going to prison. And I think that's very difficult for the public to understand. That's the strategy I think they're going to use, man. And that's a win. The goal was to get him manslaughter. If he and the reason that's the goal, because that's only 7 years. You got a young man dead, and you only go. You can get out and still live your life. You'll still be in his 20s. You got a young. Bro, people go to prison forever for that. If they can get manslaughter for this, that's a win. But sometimes you got to go a roundabout way to get it. He does 7 years, time served, manslaughter, he can get out, or probation, or whatever they come up with. And that's the best case scenario. But the defense attorney already knew what was going to happen. I'm sure if his...
Of course he knew what was going. Of course he knew it was going to happen. He did a wink, wink, shake, shake. Man, I got you, baby. We're going to make this happen. They did one of them. It's one of them. Like, what's that little sign that they do? Yeah. Yeah, man. Look here. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What do you think the strongest part of the prosecution's case was, and what was the most vulnerable part?
They got a dead body, Willie D. They got a dead body, a confession, and a murder weapon, and dozens of witnesses. That's the strongest case. This is not a case built on circumstantial evidence where we can't find the body. We don't know. We don't have a confession from the defendant. He lawyered up before we even put him in handcuffs. He was talking about, I want to talk to my lawyer. There's no witnesses. There's no body. There's no physical evidence. This is not that case. This is a cakewalk for the prosecution. The only question was whether or not he was going to get a manslaughter or a murder conviction. That's it. That's the only question. He was going to go to prison. And see, here's the thing. When I hear that little boy crying, he touched me I hear a baby. I'm compassionate to Karmelo Anthony. I have sons that age, man. He's a child. But see, on the flip side, Austin Metcalf is a child. These are children that we taught. These are kids whose minds haven't even fully developed, and we have a dead child. We cannot have a society where we allow children to kill each other because of a push. So somebody's, especially here, Willie D, you know where we are. What we talking about, Texas, we put more people to death for capital murder than anywhere else in the world, right here in the great state of Texas. This is what we do here. So you absolutely know that if you do something like that, you going to prison. And if it's a white boy in a white county and you black, you don't stand Ice Cube's chance in hell of getting out, walking out of there free and clear. It's not going to happen. We know that. And hopefully we begin to tell our children, especially our black boys, you got to control your emotions. You can't do, it ain't like when we was young and you can box with somebody and handle in the street and then shake hands afterwards and be friends. These kids are not like us. They're different. They're emotional. They walking around strapped. And this could have went one way or the other. He could have pulled a knife and somebody else could have pulled a pistol if it was out in these streets. So we have to teach our children to control their emotion, because guess what happened when they get in front of the judge? We see what happens. And that's what you see Karmelo. He was a good kid, though. And I feel sorry for him.
Now, Dennis, you're absolutely right. We do need to control our emotions, but that goes both ways. And I don't want that to fall deaf on the ears of those people who are out there in support of Austin, because they believe that Austin didn't do anything wrong. There's people out there that all they talk about is Karmelo, but they ain't got no heat at all for what Austin did, putting himself in that position. You know, so it goes both ways, being in control of your emotions. Like,
absolutely.
If Austin had controlled his emotions, we wouldn't be here. And he's starting it, we wouldn't have been here. But if Karmelo would have been able to control his emotions, we wouldn't be in this situation.
And let's back it up a little bit. I got one for you. I got a better one for you. Had Austin Metcalf pushed Karmelo Anthony, and then he said, okay, and reported him to the police, Karmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf would be in handcuffs, because that's assault.
Hell, not.
It's bad. No, sir. No. He put hand. If Austin Metcalf pushed Karmelo Anthony and Karmelo Anthony didn't respond, that's battery. You going to prison.
That is, but that's
how you get rid of that problem. That teaches a bully. That way you don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to respond, and he goes to prison. See, that's what. Look, man.
Not in Collin County. He wouldn't have went to prison.
That's when your politicians come into play. That's when your legislators. That's when you push the issue. He pushed me. I want him to go to prison. You got to go full Karen on these people. Use that system against them. That way you don't have to get your hands dirty. All he had to do was call the cops on him, should have been a research. 20 of them same people that testified against Karmelo Anthony. You would have forced them to testify against Austin Metcalf. And it's my understanding, I don't want to speak disparagingly of the dead, okay, but the young man, apparently I don't want to speak poorly of people, but it's my understanding that the young man had some incidents in school before. I'm talking about the Austin Metcalf, the brothers. Apparently, they were known on the campus for
Bullies,
I don't know how
man.
many.
Bully, go on, say it, man. They was bullies. They were bullies.
And look, I have no way of verifying that, but that's my understanding. But all that would have come out, okay. But bottom line is, nobody. He's not the police. You got a child acting as an enforcer, putting people out the tent. That should have never happened. And the truth is, none of this would have happened had Austin Metcalf not initiated the conflict. We can all agree on that. Whether you like Austin Metcalf and all the white people and all the black people, I know you all want to make this a racial issue. I get that. But these are two children, okay? One of them had a battery in his back, thinking it was his job to play security, and another one over-responded and killed him. And now he's dead, and the other young man is dead. He's going to jail for 35 years. So it's a lot of emotions involved. It's a lot of young men who didn't have emotional control and who overstepped their bounds, and other young men who responded disproportionately. We can get that. So what do we do from here? You see what I mean? Where we go from here?